It's 1995 in India, and I'm 13 years old, happily walking into my new school in a new country, hopeful, excited, and ready to change my life forever. Let me set the scene. It's a co-ed with school uniforms. And for girls, the length of the skirt was important. You wanted your skirt short, but not too short. Don't look at me. I didn't make up the rules. It was the 90s. I was conscious about my weight, but I wanted to fit in. And because of skirt gate, I got mine 2 sizes too small at the waist and the length. Let's just say I didn't fit in. Instead, I awkwardly stood out. I didn't have the right clothes. Coming from another country, I didn't have the right accent. I didn't even have a chair. And during recess, a classmate walked up to me and said, "You don't belong." Oh, I felt alone. That experience early on profoundly shaped who I am and how I navigate the world today. In hindsight, that first year of school actually made me stronger, much more resilient. I went on to study coding. I started on a Disney show. I became a corporate executive in technology, entrepreneur, inventor, and I worked in corporations across 6 different countries. I learned how to fit in when needed and stand out when it mattered. But I never wanted to experience that first day of school feelings ever again. And for a while, I didn't need to. I was confident in my skin, and I knew who I was. Then, I got pregnant with twins. 8 weeks after I brought my twins home from the hospital, I had to go back to work. I had to physically leave my 8-week-old babies who couldn't even hold their heads up and go for a work trip. There, at the threshold of the workplace, I felt like I was back at the first day of school all over again. And my clothes not fitting, that was the least of my worries. I felt as if my identity of who I was before I became a mom didn't fit in my mind. You see, back at work, everything was the same as before I had left. Except now, I was different. All I could think about were my babies. I didn't even remember what my purpose was before I became a mom. I knew right there and then that I had joined work way too soon. My mind and body were not ready to go back to work. And I know a lot of working moms in the United States have felt this way too. So, to the moms, I want to say, you are not alone. It's not a you problem. It's not a mommy problem. It's an economy problem. U.S. Chamber of Commerce reports that each year $120 billion is lost in productivity because United States workers cannot access affordable childcare and do not have paid maternity leave. The system is broken. To the people who want to become parents, I want to say it's a discouraging environment to start your family, and the system is failing you too. And did you know that over half the workers in the United States report that they had to leave their work to take care of the children? And the workplaces suffer without half those workers. So to the workplaces, I want to say, the system hurts us all. Now, to the people who say that taking care of kids is a mom responsibility, I want to say, just because they decide to drive a car that needs a road doesn't mean they need to build a road. Childcare is infrastructure, not a luxury. United States lacks adequate legislation and infrastructure to support working moms and her children. So, I'm proposing 3 basic human rights that every working mom and her children deserve. Let's jump in. Basic human right 1. Every working mom deserves adequate and paid paternity leave. Right now, there are 0 laws requiring paid maternity leave, which means when a woman leaves a workplace to give birth to and take care of her newborn, no one is legally required to pay her for her time away. Not for a day, not for a week, not any period of time. Can you imagine coming home from the hospital with your newborn, what should be one of the most exciting moments of your life, but instead you're riddled with worry of how you're going to support your family? National Partnership for Women and Families report that for moms, inadequate paid maternity leave leads to increased chances of depression. I had 8 weeks, and I still felt the lowest I had felt in my life. And what happens to the babies? A spike in infant death. Let me repeat that, because it's an important fact that all of us must know. According to Human Rights Watch, because there is no law for paid maternity leave, for every 1,000 births, there are over 6 infant deaths. No jokes there. US has one of the highest infant mortality rates of all first world nations, and this disproportionately affects women of color. And again, most importantly, it doesn't have to be this way. Other nations have figured it out. Sweden, 16 months paid leave. Norway, 1 year paid leave. Estonia, anywhere from 4.5 months to 435 days paid leave. And then we have Finland, Denmark, Germany, France, Iceland, Spain. And let's not forget about our neighbors up in Canada, who have anywhere from 15 to 35 weeks paid leave with over half pay. And all these countries report happier moms and lower infant deaths. Shocker. Now, before we all pack our bags and move to Estonia, I want to say we can create a change in our country. We can join workplaces that provide paid maternity leave. We can join a movement to drive infrastructural change. We did it with Me Too. We can do it with #paid parental leave. Now, let's say we all win this one and we all get paid parental leave. What happens to the parental load when the leave is over? That brings me to basic human right 2. Working moms deserve workplaces that work for them. Right now, women with children are 79% less likely to be hired than women without, and half as likely to be promoted. Harvard Business Review defines a concept called maternal wall, which is the assumptions a workplace makes about their employees' competence and dedication just because that employee is a mother. A woman's ability and commitment is questioned as soon as she starts showing around second trimester till forever, when in fact it's the country's infrastructure and the workplace that lacks the ability and commitment to support her through her journey. Unbelievable amount of burden falls on the shoulders of a mom when there's a snow day, sick day, parent-teacher conference, summers are off. And when the workplaces cannot support women through this, very talented working moms feel burnt out, overworked, and leave the workplace. And so I'm not even surprised that McKinsey's research shows that moms aren't even making it to the C-suite, where there are half as many women as men. And again, it doesn't have to be that way. Let's brainstorm. Nordic countries provide emergency childcare services. Japan and France provide government-subsidized childcare services when schools are off. Germany has figured out a flexible work schedule where parents can be there for their families and be productive at work. US is one of the most innovative countries in the world. I know we can figure this out. I bet we can even make money figuring this out. And it can start with small changes, like allowing a parent to leave early when schools are off, or providing extra sick days to parents with young kids. Now that brings me to a very important part of this human rights equation: the kids. You see, when you pull the rug from under a mom, the mom and the kids fall to the ground. So let's talk about basic human right 3. Kids deserve to be happy and healthy. Now, this one is a direct derivative of human right 1 and 2 that we just talked about. How? Let me mansplain it. As we've already established, that moms have a lot on their plate, and that causes stress, which can in turn affect their mental and emotional well-being. Stanford research has shown a very strong connection between a child's happiness and a mother's mental and emotional well-being. So, if we take care of human right one, which is providing adequate and paid maternity leave, perhaps improved infrastructure for working parents, and take care of human right two, which is ensuring working moms have workplaces that work for them, perhaps add in some flexible hours or even backup childcare, then we are already on our way to happier and healthier kids. It's the kids' happiness, not just the parents, that's at stake here. In conclusion, I know we all can do something when we see something. We already talked about how a country's infrastructure can support better, how workplaces can do something. I asked the entrepreneurs listening, what businesses can we create to support working parents? How about instituting a before and after school care program that mirrors corporate hours, that focuses on the all-round development of a child, and that might even be government subsidized? There you go. I just gave you $1 million idea. I think about myself at age 13. That little girl in that tiny skirt, her hopes and dreams. I think about my two daughters, Ankana, who's 8, and Maya, who's 5. Think about the girls in your life, your daughter, niece, friend's daughter, neighbor's daughter. They are at stake if we don't pay attention to these 3 basic human rights. Imagine looking into the eyes of that girl and saying, no matter how ambitious you are, how hard you work at school, how smart you are, you cannot have it all. If you decide to become a mom, you probably are not going to get maternity leave. You'll be stressed about that. At work, you're going to be looked at as a mother before a worker, and you're going to lose opportunities that you dreamt of. And oh, by the way, that goal and vision of reaching your highest potential, never going to happen, unlikely. We cannot say that to our girls. I'm fighting for a day where every working mom has a seat at the table where she believes she belongs, where happy and healthy kids are thriving. Who's with me?